It's actually kind of wild to think that besides those package films in the 70s and 80s, The Day the Earth Blew Up is the first fully animated theatrical Looney Tunes movie, with every other project being live action animated hybrids. And while I will say the dynamic of having the entire Looney Tunes cast was missed here a bit, this really was a fantastic first effort for this style, and really is how you make a proper Looney Tunes movie. It's brought to us by the creative team behind Looney Tunes cartoons on HBO Max, which I will say is the closest we've ever gotten to recapturing the feel of the classic shorts. Maybe not 100% perfect, it's impossible to be an exact replica of Chuck Jones, Tex Avery, and all those classic creators, but those come very close, and that's the same thing I can say for this. Now, sometimes it might not always be the funniest, sometimes mistaking just being loud for being wacky and humorous, but it does nicely recapture the energy of classic Looney Tunes shorts, in particular, the old buddy setups between Porky and Daffy, with Daffy being completely off the wall while Porky is the straight man. And its humor still hit way more than it missed, with its zany visual gags brought to life by some really gorgeous hand-drawn animation, some of which kind of made me think of humor in the vein of SpongeBob. Like, for example, you have a backstory of Daffy and Porky being raised as kids by someone named Farmer Jim, who was always portrayed with this very still animation that clashed with the vibrant movements of the main duo, and that made for some fun visuals in the first part of the film. But then it also pays homage to classic sci-fi B-movies. Even with it taking place in the modern day, you have a scientist who speaks like William Shatner, people turning into mindless zombies and something akin to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, characters dressed in 1950s attire. There's just an overall fun throwback feel to it that I really appreciated. Now, in terms of story, not that you really come to a Looney Tunes movie for any sort of meaningful story, but the film does actually try to have some more emotional elements about how Daffy and Porky need to stick together, and a lot of it goes exactly the way you'd expect and is often revisited throughout the film. Though even with it being familiar and detracting a bit from the Looney antics, I'll say this handled it way better than it could have gone. They actually do a nice job of establishing the camaraderie between the two and giving them a fun dynamic that still shines through even when we get to these relatively more emotional moments. When they come up, they don't feel like a complete personality shift from the characters, so you can still appreciate these moments. So overall, I have to say, this made for a really fun time. I hope we get more of these types of Looney Tunes movies in the future because this is how they should be done, and if you're a longtime fan of these characters, you certainly won't be disappointed with this.